Ever wondered why the Germans didn't do more to stop German mustache man? Well, that's exactly what the entire world is thinking about Americans and Trump.
Hey guys, here we go again. Welcome back to another video. It is Thursday, August 21st. I have a pretty busy weekend lined up this weekend. I mean, on a personal basis. I don't know if we're gonna have a chance to record, so I'm going to try and record a few videos tonight to try and load up the weekend so I stay consistent. So I have some interesting stuff lined up for us. Let's get into it.
What do you mean you're upset about a character being made black in a fictional show with like elves farting rainbows? They'll look at a fucking gargoyle that's talking to them in English and be like, that's more believable than them being black. Y'all listen, this is the crazy part to me about racism, right? Look at me. Get into it, right? Right. I look good. I know I work hard on what I do, you know what I'm saying? I don't think I'm the best looking, but I know I'm fine. Let's not get crazy, right? There'll be a thin-lipped, translucent ass sunburnt white person next to me, racist ass white person next to me. I can see your aortic valve through your skin, right? And they'll look at me and be like, just because I'm white, I'm better than you.
You know the difference between Gavin Newsom and Donald Trump? Gavin Newsom can vote. The more you know.
I'm gonna be the wokest douchebag next election cycle. My truck, 2 Gavin Newsom flags. I'm so excited for him to sign a Bible, I'll buy that shit. He can't do anything wrong. He's my new cult leader. Gavin Newsom hat? Yeah. Blue? I'm gonna serve absolute
Gavin Newsom may not be the Democrat we want, but he's the Democrat we need. Because we all hate Trump, but this man hates Trump.
Trump supporters are so mean and like really racist and very shallow. As the last video I was making, my smoke detector has not been changed. I'm a student. I live in student housing. We've reached out to the maintenance team 100 times. There you go. They still haven't fixed it. For everybody, as I was defending the homeless, to comment, that's the sound of blackness. She's Section 8. I can't hear over the bird. Y'all, like, something is deeply wrong with you guys. Like, I'm literally talking about homeless people being abused and ripped off the streets, and you're calling me Section 8 because I'm a black woman? Y'all are really evil. Like, Trump supporters, like, y'all are crazy. Like, I don't know how to sleep. You guys sleep with yourself at night? Get it together and get off my page. Ugh.
A little pre-abortion snack. I don't know why this keeps happening to me. I know having multiple abortions is normal. It's actually more normal to have more than one than it is just one. But I'm still fucking over it. I'm over it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of getting pregnant. Why am I so fucking fertile? Give the babies to someone who wants them. Like, it's simple. Please, God, listen when I pray to you to stop sending me children that I don't want.
I just want to see an interview where ICE agents talk about why they love their job. Because they can quit anytime they choose to do this. And I'm just curious, what do you love so much about it? Do you feel fulfilled? Because
when this is all over, we will remember. So at the end of Inglourious Bastards, Lieutenant Aldo Rain, make sure to leave just a little tiny incision right here on the bad guy so that he can't just go put on a suit and go about his business. Well, I have a message for anyone who's sitting comfortable in the United States right now, who voted for this, who's looking the other way, who's saying things like, oh, there's a respectful office, you gotta fucking know. You don't get a scar on your forehead, okay? You also may think that you are getting off scot-free, but you left all your scars on the internet, and we'll remember. We'll remember.
Absolutely chilling, terrifying, right down to the bone. Don't you guys get it yet? We don't care if you remember. You affected more than just your country. You guys are thinking, oh, what you guys are putting us through right now with Trump, we're gonna get you back, we're gonna remember this. The tides have shifted, and I don't just mean who's in the presidential office. That's not what I mean at all. The times have changed. You guys had your woke era. It was an epic, epic failure, but it caused a lot of damage. And outside of your borders as well. It didn't just start in the USA. This was all over the world in leftist-leaning countries. I mean, you guys must be able to see it. It was affecting more than just your country. country. Didn't you guys catch on to the pattern that it was happening all over the place at the same time? Look at how 2020 was handled. And I'm not talking about Biden, I'm talking about the pandemic. Look at the restrictions that were put on. And it was all the left-leaning countries that had the exact same idea on how to handle the pandemic. Now, as they say, hindsight is 2020 vision, right? When you look at it now, the patterns are very easy to see. When the world was in hysteria and everybody was scared, everybody was thinking that it was going to be much worse than it actually turned out being, everybody's vision was clouded. Everybody's judgment was clouded. Society is much easier to control when you instill fear on a crowd. This is why they refer to them as sheeple. So the point I'm trying to make here is who was most susceptible to the narrative being pushed on them? The liberals, and it did us no favors whatsoever. Your fear literally imprisoned us. But the truth is, I'm absolutely wasting my breath right now because you guys will never, ever see that. No matter what evidence is produced, no matter what statistics are pulled up, you guys will always be convinced that you guys handled that in the right way, and that people that leaned on the right, people that did not want to wear a mask, people that refused to get all poked up, handled it the wrong way. So you want to act all big and tough and claim when this is all over, we're not going to forget? Well, we haven't forgotten either. The one good thing that came out of that whole situation is a whole bunch of people that lean right and use common sense woke up. Their eyes are wide open. So if you guys are thinking that once Donald Trump is out of office, that you're just going to be able to bully your way back into wokedom, I think you're going to be sadly mistaken. Open your eyes and look at what's going on worldwide. More than just the people that live in the United States are waking up. People are taking action in other countries. People are fed up of open borders in other countries. It wasn't only the United States. Other countries were doing the exact same thing. Woke ideology caused a lot of damage, and believe me when I say this, nobody at all plans on welcoming that back. So you're not going to forget? We really don't care.
Tulsi Gabbard just announced, the head of our intelligence here in the United States, that she is firing half of the staff of the National Intelligence Agency. What? Who the fuck are we gonna get our info? Just let this motherfucker burn. Whatever. Y'all voted for this. Let's make America great again by dismantling every system that made us great. I see this going in such a great positive way.
Gavin Newsom, 2028. Fuck Donald Trump.
Okay, so boom, if y'all would do me a favor and please allow 2028 to marinate properly and just focus on November 4th, I'd be so grateful. I'd be forever grateful. How the day you deserve.
JD Vance, hold on. JD Vance being rejected, denied service from that restaurant in Scotland. It's the best birthday present I could ask for. Thank you, Scotland. Also, this is like your 8th vacation. Do you do your job? Do you clock in ever? Your 8th vacation. You've been there for 8 months. Right.
When you're black, you're never really lonely because there will always be a white person all up in your business.
I'm sorry, but if you stopped wearing a mask and you still aren't wearing a mask, specifically a high quality respirator, K95 or higher, you are the fascism. You're not fighting it, you're not resisting it, you are the fascism, and you are part of why what is happening is happening. And if you're throwing around the R slur, full-fledged Nazi, full stop.
I have to assume that the people who still support Donald Trump are either extremely unaware of what he is doing to our country / misinformed because all they consume is propaganda, or they're evil. Because I personally can't understand or fathom how you can support what's happening if you actually know what's happening and are a good person. I just don't think that's possible. It's not something that adds up to me. So feel free to let me know which one you are.
I'm so tired of boomers and Gen Xers on this app in my comments being like, AOC could never win presidency. We need more realistic candidates. They need to be men. Actually, that's not true at all. Kamala Harris actually did win the election. Yeah, it was rigged. She actually did win. And it's your internalized misogyny that's holding us back, not the fact that these candidates are women and nobody will vote for them. People will vote for them. They have, and they did, and she actually won. And people will vote for AOC, and AOC will win. So check your internalized misogyny.
Okay, young lady, you must be the only liberal that's still out there thinking that Kamala Harris actually won with that news from that whistleblower who just disappeared into nowhere and people dropped it really fast. It became like a fart in the wind. Nobody gives a shit anymore. Besides the fact that you had that delusion that Kamala Harris actually won, your delusion continues to thinking that AOC can win. Let's go beyond that. AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Gavin Newsom, you guys got nothing. You guys really have nothing on the left. Now, I know she didn't bring up Gavin Newsom. I just thought I'd throw that in there because that probably is the strongest candidate for the left in 2028, and that's kind of sad. Can you actually picture a debate between Gavin Newsom and JD Vance? JD Vance would eat him for dinner and dessert and breakfast the next day. Look at what Ron DeSantis did to him. Now, don't disrespect to Ron DeSantis, but Ron DeSantis is not the most skilled debater. JD Vance would destroy Gavin Newsom in a debate. That would actually be great to watch. That'd be good entertainment. But back to what she was saying, she just wanted to focus on the women. She wants to really point out AOC. I'm sorry, AOC is an absolute bubblehead. What single positive impact has she had since she's been in the House? Since she's been involved in politics, what positive impact has she had? I'm willing to bet that she was much more effective in her waitressing days. And that's not really to insult her. It's just obvious that she's not cut out for politics. Nothing sounds logical that comes out of her mouth. Not one sign of intelligence. And then if you want to talk about Jasmine Crockett, that's a whole other ballgame. Yes, I know, she's got a law degree. She's got a very expensive and extensive education behind her. But does she show it? She's an absolute embarrassment to be representing anybody's district. She should not be in the House. Absolutely not capable of running for president in any way, shape, or form. How could you talk the way that you do? And I know you guys are gonna say, well, look at Donald Trump. He says bullshit all the time. He talks about all sorts of stuff that makes no sense half the time. Donald Trump still has results. He gets things done. Just like AOC. Can anybody name one positive thing that Jasmine Crockett's done in her political career? I don't really think so, except for maybe a few guest appearances on The Breakfast Club. That's probably the most effective thing that she's done. The point is this though, when it comes to men and women, they are wired differently. Now I know a lot of women are out there saying, you know, enough of the patriarchy. It's time for women to take control. It's time for women to have a chance. It's time for women to fix all these problems that men have created. Have men created some problems? Oh, hell yes, they have. But if women were running the show all this time, with your emotions involved, you know, you guys talk about your emotional intelligence, we would be in a much deeper hole. Now, can women have leadership roles? Yes, they can, but they're more far and few in between. Can a woman who's a Democrat with a liberal mentality have a leadership role? Absolutely not. That would be political suicide. If anybody will notice, the most powerful and respected world leaders are ones that do not lean to the left. They do not have leftist values. And the truth is, people that lean to the left hate them. So that means that they're doing something right. I don't know, since the election, since January, month by month by month by month, it just seems like things are getting worse with the liberal public. You guys are getting more delusional. Instead of trying to find new paths, new techniques, something new to spark your Democrat Party, you're doubling down on the same old policies, the same old talking points, and really, AOC, that's what you guys got. Truthfully, it's Gavin Newsom, but to her point, she's pulling for AOC. That's a shot in the dark. She won't even run as a candidate. But truth is, it doesn't really matter who you guys run in 2028 because you have absolutely no chance of winning. With the way that you guys are not switching up a single thing, you guys are just getting more radical. You're getting more progressive. You're trying to get more woke. And can't you guys see this is why you lost? Not only because it was Donald Trump, but because you guys tried to use something that was completely ineffective, that the public was completely sick of. What Kamala Harris ran on was like, look, I know that we have a broken country right now, but trust me, if you guys vote for me, I'm gonna make it even more broken. That's essentially what she was running on. And that's the exact same type of policies that AOC would try and run. That's the exact same type of policies that Gavin Newsom will run, take a look at California. Do you want California to become an entire country? That's what a country will be under Gavin Newsom. Either way, Libs, it looks like you guys are in for the long haul, so you just best learn how to deal with it.
I guess it's pretty safe to say Donald Trump is falling apart. I mean, he knows his presidency is failing, his economy is failing, the whole country is now aware that he is the biggest co-conspirator on the Epstein list out of any of them. His approval rating is at an all-time low. Shit, he's so scared to lose the midterms that he's trying to gerrymander Texas. What makes it even more terrifying for him is the fact that the scariest person ever in his opinion, Gavin Newsom, just keeps on whooping his ass. Him and his supporters are just falling the fuck apart over this. And I'm all for it. I love watching them cry. Which, that is exactly what I assume they're doing as they type their little comments and comment sections and shit. Or when their content creators make a video and it makes absolutely no fucking sense. It's just a bunch of white supremacist tears, and I love the fucking taste.
Any soldiers continuing to take orders from this criminal administration are fucking pathetic, oath-breaking bootlickers.
We have laws. We have to go by the laws. We can't move in the National Guard. I can call insurrection, but there's no reason to ever do that. Even in a Portland case, we can't call in the National Guard unless we're requested by a governor.
6'3", shorter, 176 pounds, heavier, 57, older, healthy, paler, beautiful, stupider, manly, goofier, huge, tinier, miserable, happier. Any questions?
Best part about Gavin Newsom is he's not in the files. You know what I mean? The Attorney General hasn't ever stated that he's in the files, but she has stated that her boss, the current president, is in the files.
Actually, I would, because I think if I had a 12-year-old daughter, I think she'd have the time of her life spending the day at Mar-a-Lago or at one of Trump's golf courses, hanging out with his grandkids. What about you? Would you let your kid stay with Kamala Harris and her husband?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, she doesn't have a kid, does she? Oh, she has a stepkid, yeah. How'd that kid turn out?
Fine.
What about Tim Walz?
Oh, yeah.
Look at his daughter. Weirdo socialist. Maybe Joe Biden.
Yeah.
You'd leave your kid with Joe Biden,
Oh, yeah.
right? So he could let the kid rub the hair on his legs and sniff its hair. That sounds like a great environment for a 12-year-old girl. And then maybe she could spend a few hours with Hunter.
So I don't know how many, more signals everybody in America needs to snap out of their can't happen here-ism. He just said in the Oval Office today that the reason why there can't be elections in a country is because of war. And he said, oh, imagine in 3 years there'll be a war and you won't be able to have elections. He's building a gold ballroom. They ripped out the Rose Garden, guys, and put cobblestones in it. It looks like Mar-a-Lago. And then he says he's going to sign an executive order banning paper ballots, mail-in ballots, and certain voting machines. And yeah, maybe he won't be able to do that, but we know that the courts aren't really doing their job to push back on this guy. And it is possible that they could withhold federal funding from states. He's trying to rig the 2026 elections so that he can push through legislation of some kind so that he can stay for a third term. Or maybe he runs as VP with JD. And then once they get into power again, JD just hands back over to him. And his base will be fine with it. You just gotta remember, Putin was a 2-term president, and they changed the rules so that he can stay indefinitely. Everything that most autocrats and dictators have done, it's all legal. They just changed the laws so that they can do it. Everything that Mustache Man did in the 30s and 40s was technically legal. Even the of people, they made it legal. The Electoral College and gerrymandering make it possible. And then, hey, if that doesn't work, there's always SCOTUS, which, by the way, they handed the presidency to George W. Bush, who didn't win the popular vote that year. And Orange Twitler didn't win the popular vote the first time he ran in 2016. Don't live in a democracy. You can't have a democracy with the Electoral College. It doesn't... I live in New Zealand, and it's like, when I explain to people what the Electoral College is, they don't understand. So I have to draw a map on a whiteboard to explain it to them. And even then, they're still like, why do you have this system? This is stupid. And then they inevitably say, how is that a democracy? And I say, it's not. It's a republic. But what they are doing with gerrymandering is actually illegal. What they are doing with mid-decade redistricting is technically legal. This is why it's not a democracy. And so this is how you get an autocrat. I highly recommend reading 2 books to help shape your thinking around this. Because I didn't just pull this out of my head. I actually research it. We should all do a little bit of research, guys. I'm not calling myself an expert, but read a book. The first book I highly recommend reading is The Road to Unfreedom by Timothy Snyder. And the second book is Autocracy, Inc. by Anne Applebaum.
You liberals are so absolutely predictable. When I seen Trump speaking with Zelensky and they got into that whole thing, could you imagine if, you know, there was a war in 3.5 years, there'd be no elections, and he started laughing and the whole room started laughing? It was like, oh boy, we know that they're gonna snip this and try and make it look like, hey, see, he plans on never leaving office. And that's exactly what you guys did the same afternoon that that conversation happened. You guys are so incredibly predictable. Now, an executive order to ban mail-in ballots, I agree with that, absolutely. There must be a very good, valid reason if you cannot get to the polls to vote in person with your identification. Just sending in a ballot in the mail, sorry, not good enough. What Donald Trump's gonna do is absolutely secure your elections. You guys are looking at it like, hey, he's rigging it so he can win. No, he's fixing it so it can stop being rigged against him and against future Republican candidates. So you guys are still sitting there in shock and awe, thinking, how on earth did Donald Trump beat Kamala Harris? Well, that's pretty evident. It was pretty obvious to see how he beat her. You guys are just in shock that you actually lost because the election, we called it too big to rig. It's because we made it as fair as possible. And you know how they did that? Majority? Like 200,000 poll watchers, people that were watching people count the votes. No more like, you know what, we're gonna stay, guys, and we're gonna work late. You guys go on home. We're just gonna finish counting these. Can you close the blinds and the door behind you? And that's how you get thousands of extra votes that just happen to show up at 3 in the morning. So sorry, the reality is right there in front of your face. If it's a free and fair election, you Democrats don't really have much of a chance. The only states that Kamala Harris won were the ones that required no voter ID. Isn't that a little bit coincidental? Isn't that a little bit fishy? Even you guys on the left have to admit that. How come she couldn't win one state that required voter ID? How come Donald Trump didn't win one state that required no voter ID? Pattern recognition. You guys claimed to have pattern recognition. Where is it? Okay, and then she's going on about the third term thing again. First of all, now that Donald Trump has served twice, he can't even run as vice president. I don't know if there's a loophole where he could. I truly don't think he can. But even if he did change a law where he's like, you know what, I'm doing a really good job here, the country still needs me, I'm gonna run for a third term and I'm changing this. And even if he was gonna try and do it legally, that's an amendment to the Constitution which takes 2/3 of a vote. So you'd have to have some Democrats on board with that. So chances are that's out the window. But at least he would be trying to do it legally. I mean, how long was Obama around? Nobody found that fishy that he was still around? Nobody found that fishy that he had so much influence on Biden's campaign run and Kamala Harris's campaign run. As far as I'm concerned, my opinion, YouTube, just my opinion, not fact, it kind of looks like Barack Obama just finished his 4th term. Now I'm gonna say 4th, some people say 3rd. I'm gonna say 4th because while Trump was president in 2016, it seemed like a lot of his own team was working against him. The FBI was looking into him. There was all sorts of stuff happening behind his back. Seemed a little shadow government-ish to me. But again, just my opinion, YouTube. The Electoral College and gerrymandering make it all possible for Donald Trump. What you're basically saying is the Electoral College and gerrymandering are a problem to Democrats if it comes to a free and fair election. That's what you're really trying to say here. The Electoral College is part of a constitutional republic. You guys keep trying to refer to yourselves as a democracy, but you guys are not a democracy. You're a constitutional republic. If I'm correct, somebody correct me in the comments here, I think the Electoral College is there as a checks and balances system, isn't it? Isn't the Electoral College there as an integral part of a free and fair election to make sure that there's no fishy business taking place? And when you want to talk about gerrymandering, take a look at the maps. Look at the gerrymandering that the Democrats had done for decades. They have certain strange shaped districts that make absolutely no sense in states that they have no business having that amount of seats. But one of the most interesting maps that says it all is the state of Illinois. Take a look at that map. The Republicans got 43% of the popular vote in Illinois, yet they only have 3 out of 17 seats there. How does that make sense? I believe Massachusetts, they don't even have a single seat. How does that make sense? It seems like the gerrymandering has been tilted in the favor of the Democrats for a long time, and now that the Republicans are finally standing up saying, you know what, enough of this shit, we're gonna straighten it out, we're going to make it fair, we're not trying to rig it to give us the advantage, we're trying to make it fair. You guys look at that like it's cheating. I mean, at this point, the evidence is overwhelming of certain patterns of corruption and fishy business, and you guys just refuse to see it. I know you guys can see it, but you're in a serious state of denial. The Democrats have got you guys to focus on Donald Trump so hard and projected all this hatred off of you towards Donald Trump, where your brains are just constantly occupied thinking about him, and you're looking over there, but you're not actually looking over here, the people that you vote for. Look at the patterns in there. Look at the paper trails in there. Look at the corruption in there. There's no way to defend it. Okay, so she lives in New Zealand. This makes even more sense now. She's in like super duper woke land. They are super, super left out there. At least they were just a couple years ago, unless something's changed out there that I'm not aware of recently, but a couple of years ago, they were super, super left. Now she's complaining again about the whole Electoral College and, you know, it not being a democracy, the constitutional republic thing is what's working against them. She's basically, what she's trying to get to is whoever wins the popular vote should be the president. Okay, so if that were the case, the gerrymandering should be gone, and everybody's district, everybody's neighborhood should just be the congressional lines, like the Bronx. It should just be the Bronx, say for instance. It shouldn't be stretched out into other areas. And if you did it that way, oh boy, did you see the little tiny blue specks on that big red map? I mean, chances are, if we really did do the congressional seats without the gerrymandering and we did it just by districts, I don't really think you guys would have many seats. You guys would have like the big blue cities. You guys would have like Los Angeles, New York, but all those counties, all those deep red counties, yeah, you guys wouldn't really have many seats. So if I were a liberal, I would personally just be keeping my mouth quiet, and I would stick with the whole Electoral College situation. And I wouldn't even really truly complain very much about what the Republicans just did in Texas to get those 5 seats back. Now, I know Gavin Newsom may try and retaliate. I think that may be a big mistake, because if this does have a ripple effect and starts taking place in other states, I think the Democrats are going to come out in the losing end of all that. So at the end of the day, Donald Trump's not trying to steal the 2026 midterms. They're just trying to solidify it, make it as fair as possible. They're actually trying to undo some of the cheating from the past. They're just trying to make it a free and fair election. So why don't you guys buckle up and learn how to play fair for a change? All right, guys, that is it. We are done. If you guys are new to the channel and you're not subscribed as of yet, please consider doing so. If not, if you can like the video, share the video, interact with it in one way or another to help me out with that algorithm that is truly not my friend. Of course, I still have one more clip lined up for you guys. And until next video, have a good one, guys.
I've maxed out my credit cards and stopped paying them. I have turned off my phone. I don't pay for anything other than my car, my insurance, and my rent. And I'm still in the negative every single fucking week. And nobody wants to hire me and pay me anything more. And I watched my mom work her body into disability, and my body is doing the same exact things as hers was. And I have to work 2 or 3 jobs if I want to be able to afford to actually live in a house. I'm about to move into my car. I would rather be dead. And I told myself that if I didn't get this promotion, my last hope, because I've applied for literally everything else in the fucking state and the 2 states next door, that I would kill myself. And then I didn't get the promotion. So now I have to kill myself because I have nothing left to give but my life. I have nothing left to give but my life. So if you're seeing this, I'm probably dead, honestly, because I have a date in mind and I know exactly what's going to happen. So I hope America knows that my life and my death is because of capitalists and Republicans that decide that life is worth as much as you're able to work. Because I physically cannot work anymore. It is physically impossible for me to squeeze 25 hours of work into a 24-hour day. I worked 2 full-time jobs for a few months, and what happened is I got diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and almost fucking died. I won't even be able to afford to kill myself because I can't afford burial costs or anything. I looked into it. I can't afford to cremate myself. I can't afford to have a headstone. My best hope is that my body goes missing and gets claimed by the fucking government. The government that I hate that killed me, by the way. I can't even afford to kill myself. There's nothing, I can't even start an OnlyFans or be a prostitute because nobody would pay to fuck me. Nobody would even pay to look at me. I have to pay people. I'd have to pay people. I'm more likely to have to buy a prostitute so I can have the illusion that somebody wants to touch me than I would have be paid to touch somebody.